How's it going, YouTube? I wanted to get a video out real quick for tomorrow, in preparation for tomorrow, because I wanted to show why I think GME's price will continue to rise, at least for the next 24 hours. And so I just want to start off with the chart here, just on trading view. We obviously closed at 193 today, with an intraday high of 488, and then after hours is up another $100. And you may be wondering why it's actually able to go up another $100 when most of the brokerages have halted trading of GME. It's because they're not letting you buy, but what they're doing is they're letting their institutional friends buy. Now you're asking, like, why would institutions buy at the high? It's because they're forced to. Because obviously a lot of the funds that got short squeezed, they have to close their positions, or they may incur more losses. GME's shares are basically shorted at an interest rate of 24% right now. So the longer they're holding those positions, the more money it costs them, whether or not it goes up or down. Just holding those positions costs them money. And so those guys are buying, but also the market makers. I'm going to explain who they are a little bit later, but basically they need to buy as well because they're the ones that are selling you options. So here's a nice little chart on how much call options are still out there. This is on the Reddit forum. If we look closely here, there is almost 1.5 million calls above a strike price that are expiring tomorrow. And so what market makers do is when you buy a call, it's the market maker's job to sell it to you. They're the ones that provide liquidity. So when they sell you a call, what they do is they have a lot of complex calculations in the background. And what it basically does is they calculate the risk of selling you this call. And in the case that they have to pay up, in the case that your call is actually in the money, they have to buy a certain amount of shares of the underlying asset, in this case GME, to make sure that they're covered. And so what a lot of people are talking about now is the short squeezes. Yes, the hedge funds are getting short squeezed. We understand how that works. But what the market makers are experiencing right now is called a gamma squeeze. Now, gamma squeeze is basically what I just explained. For every call they sell, they have to calculate how much of the underlying asset they may need to hold for a particular strike price, $200. Like I just saw $200 strike price. I think there's almost 12,000 options contracts out there right now for $200 strike price that expire tomorrow, right? And so each contract represents 100 shares. So you can imagine there's almost 1.2 million shares out there just for that one strike price that these market makers now have to hedge their bets with. And so those are the people that are buying the shares up right now because they have to cover their positions. You can't let a call contract expire and not have the underlying asset, right? So this is why, if you're wondering if the GME's price is going to go down tomorrow, very likely won't, because these guys are gonna have to continue buying. There's literally billions of dollars out there of contracts, just options contracts that need to be covered. Never mind the short squeezes. And so, but what I'm not recommending is that you buy in on this because, um, at this point, who knows what the brokerages are going to do? They're going to probably shut people down and only let you guys sell into the institution's hands. But if you're holding, don't sweat it. If you bought in at a high, don't sweat it because pretty sure tomorrow, wait for a high and exit your position. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's my thoughts on GME. But if you're interested on knowing just a little bit more of how options contracts works, you're not buying the underlying asset, you're basically gambling. But originally how they're supposed to work is they're supposed to help they were invented to help farmers kind of hedge their crop. So let's say you're a farmer, you have a crop that's going to be due in 6 months, but you need to negotiate with your distributor right now the price. Um, the problem with that is what happens if 6 months from now other farmers have an abundance of their crop and so do you, and suddenly that extra supply drives down the price of your underlying asset, the corn. And so what you do is you buy. What they decided to do was offer futures contracts. So you and me, we decide on the price of the underlying asset today, and whether or not there's an abundance or short supply of the corn tomorrow, we're paying for an agreed upon price. And that's basically what a call option is. Now people are using it for different purposes, but that's basically what it does. You're just agreeing to buy an asset, in this case GME, at the certain price, which is the strike price. And if it goes above that, you still pay the strike price, but you pocket the difference. So if it goes up, you make that extra money. And so it's the market makers that are going to be losing that money. And so you can understand now why Wall Street's quite scared, because these market makers have been selling out of the money calls for months and weeks now, and thinking that they can collect a premium. But now they actually have to pay up because this thing's gone up like 20 times in like 2 weeks, 20x in 2 weeks. So yeah, that's my update for GME. I do not recommend a buy if you're wondering what my thoughts are at that at all. But if you have a position, I do recommend selling, because at some point, both the short sellers and the market makers are going to have covered all their positions, and this thing's going to tank like a rock. One of my buddies works on Bay Street, and he was telling me that the smart money, like one thing that was interesting was I was trying to buy put options on GME actually, and the prices actually rose as well as the price, which shouldn't be possible, because why would the price of essentially what was a short increase as the price of GME increases? It's because the smart money, they're holding on to all their puts, because they know at a certain time these GME's price is going to come crashing down. And I was trying to buy a $25 put for April. So within the next 90 days, this thing should go way back down to the earth. So I would recommend, if you got in on this, you made a little money, good for you, but try thinking about getting out very soon. All right, YouTubers, thanks very much, and see you again.